Welcome to the deep dive.
This is where we take your sources. Could be articles, reviews, research papers, and really unpack them.
We dig out the key insights, the surprising facts, the important nuggets, basically.
It's your shortcut to getting up to speed, designed just for you.
And today we are diving into the 2024 film Speak No Evil.
Yep, and our source material for this one is a review from the website Moviescramble.
Right. So the mission today is to pull out what this review found interesting or important about the remake. What's their take?
Exactly. What can we learn from their specific perspective on this film? Let's get into it.
Okay, so Speak No Evil, the 2024 version. The review jumps right into some context, doesn't it? Like how soon this remake was announced after the original Danish film.
It does, yeah. Apparently the news dropped almost right after the original's credits rolled, which is pretty quick.
And the review connects this to the studio involved Blumhouse.
Right, and it offers a bit of, let's say, perspective on Blumhouse. They mention, their solid track record with genre stuff, but also notes that maybe they've had a few more critical misses lately, sort of, in the past year. So the review kind of sets the stage with that backdrop, maybe some built-in skepticism.
Interesting, sets expectations, yeah. And the review flags the director, James Watkins.
James Watkins. And if you know his stuff, like Eden Lake...
Oh, right.
The review points out his reputation. Actually calls it a reputation for making yuppies suffer.
Huh. Okay, so that gives you a pretty strong clue about the vibe he goes for. Uncomfortable situations.
Definitely seems that way, and it feeds right into the premise described in the review. You've got two families.
The Americans first, Ben and Louise Dalton, played by Scott McNairy and Mackenzie Davis.
Right, with their daughter Agnes. They're on holiday in Italy.
And they meet an English couple there. Patty and Ciara, James McAvoy, and Eileen Franciosi.
Yep, also at the same resort with their son, Ant.
And it starts off friendly enough, right? Ben and Patty, the dads, they connect.
They hit it off, yeah. And this leads to Patty inviting the American family who actually live in London to visit their place out in the English countryside.
Okay, sounds nice. But the review adds a layer here. Ben and Louise's marriage. Maybe not so great right now.
Yeah, that's highlighted. Apparently going through a rocky patch. That's part of the dynamic as they head into this visit.
And Louise is hesitant.
Seems so. The review mentions her hesitation, that little voice saying, maybe not. But they still decide to go.
Ah, the classic setup.
And according to the review, that's the turning point. What looks like a nice weekend getaway. It morphs into something else entirely. A fight for survival.
So the review talks about how the film's tone shifts. Starts understated.
Yeah, understated horror, then ramps up into what they call a boiling pot of suspense. Great phrase.
It really is. And a lot of that suspense seems to center on Patty, James McAvoy's character.
Absolutely. The review says his initial, slight oddities, they escalate pretty quickly into actual violent outbursts. And the review points out something really disturbing. His aggression is mainly focused on his own son, Ant.
Wow, okay. And McAvoy's performance. The review gives that a lot of attention.
Huge praise. Says he excels. But it also offers this interesting insight into Watkins' direction.
Oh, yeah. What is that?
It suggests Watkins keeps McAvoy sort of tethered?
Tethered, like held back?
Kind of, yeah. Allowing the psychopathic rage to come out in bursts, not all at once initially.
Oh, okay. Building it up.
Exactly. Before being, as the review puts it, let loose in the really brutal third act. So it sounds like a very controlled escalation in the performance.
That makes sense. And what about Eileen Franciosi as Ciara, the wife?
Her performance is described as subtly duplicitous.
Ooh, duplicitous. That's intriguing.
It is. The review points out her motivations are kept deliberately unclear. Like, is she in on it with Patty? Or is she maybe another victim herself?
So, ambiguity there. That's highlighted as important.
Definitely a key element, according to this review.
The review also makes a point about the kids, doesn't it? Says they really stand out.
It does. Calls them driving factors of the film, which is pretty significant. They're not just props.
Right. Not always the case in horror.
Yeah.
So tell me about them.
Well, Dan Hough plays Ant, the English boy. He's mute. The review mentions it's due to a rare condition, like born with a small tongue.
Wow. So how does he communicate?
Through eerie facial expressions, apparently. The review says he plays the creepy kid to a T.
Okay, got it. And the American daughter, Agnes, Alix Lefler.
She's called a prime motivator for the plot. It sounds like she gets closer to Ant, but she's also struggling to figure out the the darkness that hangs over the farm.
So their experiences are central, not just background horror.
Seems that way, yeah. Their interactions and perspectives are really important to the story, according to this review.
This all leads into something the review really emphasizes, the relatability of the situation.
Yes. This is maybe the biggest insight. They mention this uneasy familiarity you might feel watching Ben and Louise.
Like, you want to show it at the screen, but you kind of get why they don't act.
Exactly that. The review pinpoints the core theme. That thing we sometimes do, going against our gut feeling, ignoring the warning signs just because we don't want to offend someone or make things awkward.
Oh, man. Yeah. We've probably all done that, haven't we? On a much smaller scale, hopefully.
Totally. And the review uses the contrast between Patty and Ben to really hammer this home.
How so?
Patty's described as charming, sure, and he can be apologetic, but he's also this very imposing figure. Mentally imposing, physically imposing.
Right. And Ben.
Ben, played by McNairy, is contrasted with that. The review highlights his slender, city slicker frame and mindset.
Suggesting he's maybe less equipped to handle this dominant personality.
That seems to be the implication, yeah. Which feeds right back into that theme of avoiding confrontation, being polite even when things feel wrong.
Okay, so let's talk about the remake aspect. Fans of the original Danish film. They might be wary, right?
Oh, for sure. The review definitely acknowledges that skepticism. It addresses it directly.
And what's the verdict on how Watkins handled it?
The reviewer thinks he did a pretty good job, actually. Kept things fresh enough so it doesn't just feel like a rushed rehash.
So not just a carbon copy?
Not entirely, no. Although, interestingly, the review does say some scenes are recreated almost word for word.
Really? That's bold.
It is. But then, crucially, it also points out there are key differences. Changes in plot points, character motivations, even the performances give it a different feel in places.
So it's a mix. Homage and its own thing.
Seems like it. The review basically says it appeals to fans of the original, offering them something familiar but different. And whether you prefer the changes, well, that's entirely up to them.
Fair enough. It offers a different interpretation, perhaps.
Exactly. A different take, potentially just as valid in its own way.
So pulling it all together then, what's the final word from this Moviescramble review, the overall assessment?
Bottom line, they call Speak No Evil 2024 a solid horror.
Solid horror. Okay. Does it compare it much more to the original?
It mentions it might be less subtle in places than the Danish film, but it argues that it makes up for that with this constant dread that permeates throughout. So maybe less subtle, but consistently tense.
Gotcha. Any other highlights mentioned?
Yeah, they call out the captivating performances from the whole cast.
Right.
And this is a fun detail. The review says it features the best rendition of Eternal Flame you'll hear this year.
Seriously, Eternal Flame in this movie.
Apparently, a very specific, memorable bit of praise from the reviewer.
Definitely unexpected. So the final conclusion from the review about remakes in general.
It wraps up by saying, this film proves that remakes aren't always a bad thing.
Okay, so a positive leaning, qualified maybe, but positive based on its own merits.
Yeah, based on their breakdown of the performances, the dread, those relatable themes, it seems to land as a successful horror film for this particular reviewer.
So to recap this deep dive into the Moviescramble review, we've looked at the context as Blumhouse-Watkins' reputation.
The premise, that holiday gone wrong setup, how the tension builds.
The key performances, McAvoy's tethered rage, Franciosi's ambiguity, the important role of the children.
And that really central theme, the one that seems to resonate most, that conflict between politeness and gut instinct.
Right. And finally, how this review sees it standing on its own as a remake, balancing the old and new.
Yeah, and that theme, this review really suggests the film works because it taps into something deeply uncomfortable and familiar for a lot of us.
That pressure to just go along.
Yeah.
Avoid making a fuss.
Exactly. Especially as the review notes, when you're dealing with someone who feels imposing, it exploits that social awkwardness, that fear of confrontation.
It really does make you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Based purely on this review's perspective, the film seems to hold up a mirror to those moments where we ignore a warning sign, maybe a small one, maybe bigger.
Yeah.
Just to avoid being rude or causing a scene. How often do you find yourself doing that? Pushing down that little internal alarm bell just to keep things smooth. Certainly something to chew on, prompted by this review's take on the film.